Well, hello and happy Sunday. This is Bill Steffen. Lots to talk about once again. We've certainly been impressed with the different temperatures because of the water of Lake Michigan cooling off the air when the onshore flow is going on. And let's take a look at some of those from 1 p.m. yesterday. We had a clear skies essentially from US 10 to the north, Ludington, Baldwin area, and it was clear down to I-94. But once you got south of I-94, it clouded up again. So we're going to go south to north. And if you look at the temperatures there on the graphic, we had an east wind. It was cloudy and raining at Fort Wayne, Indiana, and 64. Coldwater wasn't getting any rain, but they were under the low clouds, and the temperature was 66. In Grand Rapids, where the sun was shining, it was 73. And at the Muskegon Beach, it was about the same, 72. Where the sun was shining, the wind was out of the east, coming off the land instead of the water. So the temperature was about the same. You got up to Cadillac and you were back in the clouds and 64 degrees. Alpena was cloudy. The other day they had an afternoon high temperature of 49. Can you imagine that? They were just 55. And now look at Milwaukee. And on the other side of the lake, the sun was shining, but with the wind coming in off the water, the temperature was just 56 degrees. So compare the 72 on the beach at Muskegon with the 56 degree temperature at Milwaukee. Now, if the wind was west, those two temperatures would be reversed. It would be 72 in Milwaukee and 56 on the beach or over the pier there at Muskegon. So it's interesting to take a look at some of the microclimates that we have here around the Great Lakes. Well, let's take a look at our lake forecast here and show you what's ahead for this Sunday afternoon. East and northeast winds 5 to 15 miles an hour, but they may be weak enough that the lake breeze can overcome that. So if you're right by Lake Michigan, the temperature there will probably head up to the low 70s or so, and then it may stop when the winds turn a little bit more northwest off the lake. That would be likely in places like South Haven. Water temperatures with an east wind, the warmer surface water blows toward Milwaukee, and we get cooler water coming up from underneath. And so some pretty chilly water temperatures here in Michigan. Muskegon 59, Grand Haven 57, and Holland State Park had just 55. Inland lakes are warmer. Reed's Lake with a temperature of 70 degrees here. That was taken about midday on Saturday. Okay, let's go on here and take a look at fire weather. We've been trying to give you updates on this. There was enough smoke in the sky to give us a really pretty sunset. I took a couple of pictures, but didn't have time to put one in the show here, but no air quality alerts. The air should be pretty clean with an east wind coming on in. It's not coming from Manitoba, Canada, so we should be okay. Now, in Manitoba, they report 116 significant fires year to date. And out of those 116, only 8 had natural causes to them. Almost all the fires that you see are set by human beings. They're campfires that get out of control, smoking materials, arson. So again, if you want to reduce fires, the best thing you can do is keep the people out of the forest, I guess. 6 fires were rated out of control. That's down from 8 a week ago. So they are making some progress up there. On the Manitoba fires, which are east of Lake Winnipeg and north of Lake Winnipeg, they have 150 firefighters, 6 water bombers, 39 helicopters, and 4 other aircraft, which we assume are dropping chemicals. So the fight continues up there. And there's that picture of those water bombers. They do their job up there. All right, let's go on and talk about hurricanes a little bit here. This has been a very quiet start to the month of June. Normally we have a couple of hurricanes to talk about. We have here one tropical storm in the eastern Pacific and one in the western Pacific. On the left side, we have tropical storm Delilah, and that's how that's pronounced, I believe. It's close enough to the coastline that it is giving rain and a little bit of gusty winds, nothing damaging or anything like that, to the Mexican coastline. That is going to turn more to moving to the due west, and then it will disappear as it gets into colder water up there. And there's an orange X where the next tropical storm could be forming. We're not sure of that yet. There's only about a 40% chance of that. The next one would be called Eric. So we're going from Delilah to Eric. Now in the Pacific, we did have a tropical storm, Wu Tip, that's come on shore in China. It's just a tropical storm, so it's not a hurricane. We don't anticipate any major damage from that, but there could be some local flooding as it continues to move onshore. It's mostly onshore already, But behind that, there's really nothing much going on. Normally, there's a hurricane or two in the Western Pacific Ocean during June through October, almost every day. So we're pretty lucky that we haven't had much of that activity. Very little damage so far. And in the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico, nothing is anticipated in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So very quiet there as well. All right, we're going to take time out now to thank our sponsors for helping us pay a few bills here. Here's Michelle.
Need a fast, efficient, and affordable cleaning service? Complete Care Concierge has you covered. Serving all of West Michigan, we offer one-time, daily, weekly, and bi-weekly cleans, plus move in, move out. We also service apartment hallways and laundry rooms. Our work is guaranteed, gift cards are available, and we even clean on weekends. There's no better way to say I love you than giving a tired mom a break from dishes and laundry. Are you a busy professional? Pamper yourself by taking vacuuming and dusting off your plate. Office manager, keep your business looking and feeling its very best. Call 616-264-1397 today for a spotless space and total peace of mind.
When your home needs help, you might not know where to start. Why not ask Ace? We're always here to help with Ace Handyman Services. Our talented craftsmen handle everything from drywall and carpentry to doors and kitchens. We're the neighbors you trust to get the job done right. Let's get started. Book your handyman appointment today. Ace Handyman Services, bringing helpful to your home.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Well, here's a look at what we expect here. Dry and pleasant weather for this Father's Day. It'll be dry and warm Monday and Tuesday as temperatures head up into the mid to even upper 80s here. Some pretty warm air coming in for the early part of the week. There is a chance a thunderstorm could reach us Tuesday night, but the best chance of a thunderstorm is going to come on Wednesday. And that's going to be a significant thing to watch out for here, possible severe weather here during the day on Wednesday. So let's take a look then at our severe weather chances and our sunrise and sunset time, which is now 15 hours and 20 minutes of daylight we get. And the solstice occurs, of course, on Saturday. The earliest sunrise of the year technically is today, this Sunday, Father's Day. The sun climbs at noon to an angle 70 degrees above the horizon, so it's pretty strong out there. Average high temperature at 79. That goes as high as 83 as we get to mid-July. Our warmest day on average, I believe, is July the 20th, if you count the high temperature and low temperature together. All right, now let's talk about severe weather. From eastern Montana on down toward Kansas, a slight risk or a level 2 risk. Hail and some gusty winds out there, perhaps an isolated tornado or two. And you can see how they've kept us dry here in lower Michigan. Really very little chance of rain here this Sunday. It's not zero, but it's 2%, 3% or thereabouts. Severe weather threat for Monday looks like this. It kind of expands out and starts to come east a little bit, but from far eastern Wyoming into Minnesota and northwest Iowa, a level 2 or slight risk for severe thunderstorms. And like I said, not impossible that one could sneak into Michigan, but I'm really not using any raindrops in the icon here for Monday. We'll have to wait till Tuesday or more likely Wednesday before we'll get our best chance for rain. Okay, let's go on now to Wednesday. We're skipping Tuesday and go to Wednesday. And look at that. We are in the slight risk area. That 15% is what they call it from day 4 on, but that is actually a slight risk or a 15% risk of a severe weather report within 25 miles of a given point. And that includes everybody from about Whitehall to Flint to down to Toledo. And we're certainly going to have to keep an eye on things. Here's what Storm Prediction Center said. It said supercells and short, intense line segments will be possible with large hail and wind damage as the primary threats. And if you look down on the very bottom, there's a yellow bar there, and it lists some names of cities that are in the slight risk outlook. And lo and behold, Grand Rapids gets a mention. You don't see that too often. It prioritizes cities with a higher population centers, so Chicago's going to be number 1. But we'll have to keep an eye on Wednesday for the possibility of a pretty good thunderstorm coming through. That would be during the afternoon or early nighttime hours. In terms of total rainfall that we expect across the area, there's the rainfall map. Southern Minnesota is going to get a bunch of rain. You can see on the East Coast too, North Carolina and the southeastern Virginia area picking up on rain. By the way, the showers and storms did kind of move away from the celebration, the big parade they had in Washington, D.C. for the Army. My father was in the Army for 5.5 years, so he certainly would have appreciated that. He was in the Army Air Corps. And let's zoom into Michigan here a little bit. The white indicates no rain at all. The light green that covers the rest of the area is just a trace to 1/10 of an inch, but I expect most areas to be dry here essentially for the next 3 days. We need rain around here. I had somebody talk to me a couple days ago about how low the water levels are in some of the inland lakes. So that's something to keep an eye on. Okay, let's go on now and talk about our forecast for today. We'll be low 80s afternoon. Again, it may turn a little bit cooler at the lake as the lake breeze kicks on in, but most everybody should have an east to northeast wind at about 10 miles an hour during the afternoon. Humidity levels fall to 50%. We haven't had too many really super humid, sticky days. The humidity may increase here by the middle of next week, but we haven't had too many of those yet. And taking a look at the individual high temperatures here, Grand Rapids should be up close to 80 in the afternoon, 81 at the airport in Holland, where that's the regional airport. Lake breeze probably won't penetrate in that far, but should get to South Haven. So they're going for 72 degrees. It'd be a very pleasant day if you want to spend over by the lake there. Out over the open water, temperatures will be in the 60s. As you can see, there's a 65 there. That's plotted at the where the mid-lake buoy is between Milwaukee and Muskegon. And off on the right side there, you can see the temperatures for the UP. They warm up a little bit, but still a little bit on the cool side, a lot of 60s if you're near the water. Now we'll go on to Monday, and you'll be able to see that the temperatures here warm up a little bit. 84 Grand Rapids, 74 South Haven, 79 in Traverse City, 69 up at Marquette. Should be a warm day. Gary, Indiana gets a north wind with a lake breeze. We get west winds here in West Michigan, and Milwaukee would get an east wind. So the wind kind of sinks out over the lake and then diverges as it hits the surface area there and moves inland. But a couple of pretty nice days coming up here Sunday and on Monday. And the 5-day forecast looks like this. We'll take you out Thursday, mostly sunny skies Sunday and Monday. Just a touch of smoke may still linger. Tuesday, temperatures upper 80s. We've inched that up a couple of degrees here, so that's going to be a warm day. Wednesday, it depends a little bit on how warm we get. I've got 84 out. If we were to get to 87 or 88 on Wednesday, I would suspect there'd be a good chance for a pretty good thunderstorm in the evening. But it may not really. There's some of our models that keep us even in the upper 70s here, and that would reduce the chance of severe. But like I said, we do need the rain around here. A shower could linger into Thursday as temperatures fall back into the upper 70s. And once again, we'll show you the 8 to 14 day outlook as we head toward the end of June. It's got above normal temperatures, especially east of us. When you see a map like this, what that's telling me is that the first part of the week is going to be quite warm. That's the 22nd through the 24th or so. And then as we get toward the 27th, 28th, we may be trending back toward average temperatures here, which would be around 80. That's, an average day is still a warm day here in West Michigan. And now we'll look at rainfall for the next 8 to 14 day period. And we are again in the above average category. Keep in mind that rainfall in summer is quite convective, which means it can be above normal and all the rain can happen in an hour or 2 hours, and the other 22 hours can be dry. So don't let that dissuade you from taking part in activities and whatnot. So all in all, some great weather coming up the next 3 days. Hope you'll get out and enjoy. Let's take a look at what Michelle has for us. She's working at the airport, so I'm going through the slides tonight. June 15th, 1836, the Toledo War was resolved. Can you believe they fought over Toledo? Yes, they did. The Clayton Act gave the Toledo Strip to Ohio, and Michigan got the Western UP. I think both the areas came out well with that deal. Why would Michigan want the Toledo Strip? Well, Toledo is a port town on Lake Erie and the Maumee River, which comes in from the southwest there. All right, let's go on and see what next we have here to talk about. Oh, a quiz. Okay, I like that. How long does it take to drive from Grand Rapids to Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio? And I have done that, I don't know, maybe half a dozen times. I haven't been there in an awful long time. Of course, my kids are older, right? I'll guess 4 hours. Let's see what the answer is. Drum roll. And 3 hours and 48 minutes. I drive slow, okay? I'm an old guy. So I'll guess 4 hours is a pretty good guesstimate there. 3 hours and 53 minutes if you don't pay the tolls. Okay, let's go on to the next one here. And Cedar Point opened in 1870. That's a long time ago. Wow. But the oldest amusement park in the United States is Lake Compounce in Bristol, Connecticut. It opened in 1846 as a picnic park. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that they had a lot of roller coasters built yet in 1846, but that's what Cedar Point started at. It was a place where people went and had picnics and jumped in the water to cool off during the summertime. But Cedar Point goes back to 1870. Wow, that's a long time. I remember going there and going on the Blue Streak. I think that's the one that you're always hoping that the bolts stay in place there. And I like the mine ride because the mine ride only falls about 6 feet on the first hill there, and then you kind of spin around in a circle and you're done. I'm a little too old to go on some of those wild roller coasters right now. Okay, what else we got here? June 15th in history, other stuff. 1215, the Magna Carta was agreed to by King John. That was a big moment in history, ratifying that document. And my daughter lawyer would know about that. 1804, the 12th Amendment was ratified. U.S. presidential election split president from the vice president. And that was interesting, 1804. 1916, the Boy Scouts were incorporated by Woodrow Wilson. I'm surprised it was him that incorporated it, but I thank him for that. I was a Boy Scout, started in Boy Scouts on my 11th birthday, and I've never really left. I've always been involved in one capacity or another. I am an Eagle Scout, a distinguished Eagle Scout per se, and I really enjoyed my time in the Boy Scouts. I tell boys, if you have half as much fun in Boy Scouts as I had, you will be thrilled with the experience. All right, birthdays. Lisa, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa. 1479, she was born. William Butler Ogden, the first mayor of Chicago in 1805. So Chicago's, 220 years old. Wow. Waylon Jennings, I bet they have a celebration in Lukenbach, Texas for Waylon in 1937. And Xi Jinping, 1953. He's 2 years younger than me, the leader of China at the moment, and a big player in terms of the world stage. What else we got for us there? I knew she'd throw in some of these. All right, that is me with Julie, who was born in 1980. So that's probably the summer of 1980. Julie is, of course, eating her hand because we never fed her. No, I'm just kidding. That was probably in Townsend Park, though I don't know if I can tell from the background. Is that like a cemetery that's back there? It almost looks like. I don't know. I'm just guessing because I know we had the company picnic back then in Townsend Park. But I really enjoyed raising my kids. I remember that they're telling me about how bad the terrible twos were. I enjoyed the 2-year-old stage. I didn't find that terrible at all. Do we have any more pictures? Because I had 3 daughters. Let's see. Oh, and there is daughter number 1. And daughter number 1 is showing off the billboard of me. You know, there is a copy of that I have stuffed in the basement somewhere, where they gave me a copy of my head when they took the billboard down. And my head is like 12 feet by 12 feet. And I rolled it up, threw it in the basement, and it's still down there somewhere. We've never unrolled it. I keep threatening to do that at some point in time. But Julie and a couple of her friends actually stopped to take a picture of that. And if I look really hard, that looks like Larry Nienhuis and Sue Shaw, maybe, from the 5:30 News. Interesting. All right, let's take a look at the next one. That is daughter number 2, Marie. So we have all 3 of them there. Where was that? I wonder if that was an art prize. but I'm dressed up in a suit though, so I'm not just a spectator. Interesting. Is that would that be at Noto's? Maybe? I don't know. Okay. Well, thank you for putting in a picture of Marie. That was wonderful. All right. We have another one. Yes, we do. We have, oh, golly. Whatever that was I'm holding, I'm guessing I didn't finish it. That just looks like way too much. Looks like some restaurant somewhere with me and Marie. We've had some fun times dining out at local restaurant establishments here, and try to give them a little bit of business, especially at this time. All right, what else have we got here? There is, from left to right, Julie, my wife Gail, Marie, and me. And that is our backyard. That has got to be springtime because the flowers are up. It looks like there's tulips all around there. Those have been the tulips have faded out and the grape hyacinths have kind of taken over in the backyard. And that is a giant silver maple tree, which was smaller when we moved in, but since we've been here now for nearly 50 years, that is a big tree. I always worry about that getting hit by lightning or something like that. All right, let's go to the next one. And that's a great picture. That is me and Michelle, and that is at SMU on the day she graduated from law school. So she is quite happy, and I am quite happy too. And I remember that was May in ratings, and you weren't supposed to take off during a rating period. But I said, look, my kids graduated from law school. I'm not going to be here. And so I flew down there to meet the rest of the family and took part in the presentations there. Golly, I'm trying to think. I sat in front of the guy who was the former Secretary of State of the state of New Jersey, and I had a great time talking to him. He was very, very insightful, and he also had a daughter that was graduating from law school from SMU. All right, and up next we have one more picture. I believe that was Michelle's wedding, if I'm not mistaken. So Gail and Bill and Michelle and Dan. And that, I believe, was at Noto's, maybe? She had the wedding, and then she had the reception right afterwards. As soon as they said, I do, and they were done, the food came out. And I thought that was really pretty cool because people are hungry. They want to eat. And, and then they made the rounds talking to the different tables and everything and probably didn't eat. But it was a great meal. Yeah, we had both the wedding and the reception at Noto's. All right, let's see what else there. Oh, there's a picture of me and my father. I had a great father. I had a great family. Loved them all dearly, still do. I look very happy in that picture. And you can see that was before I had gray hair. Don't know what was on the logo of that shirt, but I'm guessing that was the 70s. That might be Marie over on the right side. So let's guess Marie is about 3 or 4 or something like that, 4 maybe. So I'm guessing that be about 1984 or thereabouts. And what is my father holding at the time? He was big in flashlights, so the first thing I'm thinking of is it's a flashlight, but it may be a jar of something cool to put on pancakes, because we used to do that for him. Now my dad was born in 1913, so in that picture he might have been in his low 60s, and he certainly looks young for his age. He lived to be 5 days shy of 91 before he passed away, and my mother, of course, lived to be 100 and a half. All right, let's go on here. This turned into a family slideshow. Okay, John Scully's picture of the day shows some pretty flowers over in the Muskegon area, blooming beautifully. I think those flowers could use a little bit of water here, as it's been very dry across the area. And I believe we have one more picture from John Doherty, perhaps. Yes, indeed. Benzie copper ore. Wow, that's kind of cool. Look at the different colors there. I would imagine that would look really cool under different lighting schemes, black light or whatever. But that is Benzie County copper ore, and that's really cool. All right, John, thanks for the picture from up in Benzie land, and we want to thank all of you for hanging with us here. I hope all of you have a wonderful Father's Day. Give Dad, if he's still with you, a shout out and let him know you love him and you think about him all the time. And Stay with us, especially keep an eye on Wednesday of this week. That's the day we could see some heavy thunderstorms rolling on through. And like I said, we need the rain. Once again, thanks for hanging with us till the end.